those guys that played last night. If you didn't know or didn't see the game, come down to a Hail Mary. And Ole Miss quarterback threw the ball a little bit too far, went out of the end zone. Nobody had a chance. Um, Miami, they dropped most people like they should have, and they sent the fourth rusher to try to add some pressure. But Chambliss, as he's done all night, rolled away from the pressure, and he rolled toward the sideline, and he fired a pass up the sideline. If you're going to throw a Hail Mary pass, you have to throw the ball down the seams. And in my opinion, that's where you have the most chance for success. At least what I've seen over the years for the ones that were successful, you get jammed up into that corner, you're reducing your chances to make a good play. As it was, Miami was playing that corner over there, and the middle of the field was more wide open. Had he thrown the ball down the middle, then he would have had a better opportunity to make a play, at least keep the ball in the field to play. He didn't do that, and it really came down to Miami being able to control the ball. He kept the ball for over 40 minutes, and on defense, Miami had a chance to really seal the game with some interceptions that they just couldn't hold on to. And on third down, they controlled the ball and were able to convert a lot of possessions, keep the ball out of Ole Miss's hands. Ole Miss could have had the ball another 5-6 minutes, might have made a big difference. But that's just the way it goes. But the beauty of it all is in football, you get one shot, just like life. Either you get it right or you don't. They didn't do it. And because they didn't do it, there's no more SEC teams. Now, according to their commissioner, Greg Sankey, they should have been 7 deep in a 12-team college football playoff field, which means to me that they feel like they're more dominant than everybody else in the country. Well, the numbers don't bear that out. Even in the college playoff, they had a losing record. They had, 5 teams that did get in? 2 of the wins that they had, they beat another conference member. Alabama beat Oklahoma, and Ole Miss got by Georgia. Everybody else lost. That so-called weak conference, the ACC, well, they're going back to the championship. I say going back because last year, even though Notre Dame is an independent, they're still affiliated with the ACC. If it wasn't for those ACC opponents that they played, they never would have been in that particular position. So when you look at these conference that is perceived to be the best, they haven't been to the championship yet in this extended playoff field. And the so-called weakest conference is, I think, going back twice. The real power right now seems to be with the Big Ten. They got 2 teams playing against each other tonight, which means one of them is going to go to the championship. And what's that, like 4 or 5 years in a row that the Big Ten's had a participant in the championship? So the question is, who is the real dominant conference? Sure don't look like the SEC. When you look at the bowl games, they had a losing record in the bowl games. That gaudy non-conference record that the SEC sported for years is largely on the backs of those paid games. In other words, I'm really big university. I'm going to call a small university that don't have the budget we have, that don't bring in the money we have. Let's pay them $800,000-$900,000. Come play a game. They get a chance to get a big check. We get a chance to work out some of our players, get a win. Everybody goes home happy, and the conference notches another win. Everybody says, look how much more dominant they are over everybody else. Are they really dominant, or are they just a bully picking on a Pee Wee 3 grades younger than they are and crowing about it? That's pretty much what they're doing. All right. Hello, friend. I must confess that I just woke up with a chubby. All right. JC, how we doing, man? We got a bunch of idiots up here early in the morning. I wonder what people do. I don't even get into that. I don't have much time. But overall, Ole Miss played a good game. They just didn't get things to bounce their way. And Miami is going to the championship game, and they're going to be playing at home, and they're going to face the winner of Indiana-Oregon. Indiana went to Oregon early in the year and beat the Ducks, and that put them on the map of respectability. And they never really got it until they stomped on Alabama. I told the people weeks before when the playoff schedule came out that um, the SEC folks think they're so dominant that when they see a basketball school like Indiana, they just automatically penciling themselves into the next round. I told you that was dangerous. You can never convince a true Alabama fan that Indiana will ever stomp them in football the way that they did. Until they actually see it, they'll never believe it. But they certainly got the attention of Oregon because they beat them on their home field. So when they come to Atlanta tonight, it is Oregon that's going to have to make the majority of the adjustments. Anytime that you have a dominant unit, say a dominant defense, that other team has to come in and find a way to beat that, come up with a scheme to try to beat your team. Case in point, last time, Texas Tech. Texas Tech has a championship defense. Oregon came up with a scheme and moved the ball right down the field, and they didn't score a touchdown. They ended up getting the field goal on that first drive. But after that, it was like pulling teeth with a rusty spoon. Very hard to do. When you look at the score, it looks like Oregon thoroughly dominated Texas Tech. That's not the case at all. Oregon was able to gain the advantage in that game because their defense outplayed Texas Tech's offense. In short, Texas Tech don't have a quarterback. If they had a quarterback that didn't turn the ball over and made timely plays and was able to put up 10 points, they would have beat Oregon. So Indiana's going to see what I saw. They're going to go back and look at the tape from when they played the first time. They saw what Oregon tried to do to them early in the game. They made the adjustments. They fixed it, and Oregon had trouble the rest of the game. Well, they're going to have the same problem coming into this game if they come with the same approach. So they're going to have to do something different. They're also going to have to protect that quarterback better than what they did last game. If they can't protect more, and they don't come up with some new kind of scheme to move the football against Indiana, they're going to seize control of this game very early, and it won't last very long. And you're going to have an Indiana-Miami final is what it's pointing to. So that would be a great matchup. Not to jump ahead, but, Mendoza is from Miami, and for him to go home to play for a national championship, you couldn't write a better script. Hurricanes see it the other way. But I won't say what I'm going to say about that until it actually comes into play. But that'd be something worthy of talking about. But as of tonight, the storyline goes is this. If Indiana shows up and they don't make mistakes that get people beat, then I fully expect them to pull away from Oregon, much more so than what people may be thinking. It's not going to be a 38-3 bloodbath like what they did with Alabama, but they should be able to pull away from Oregon. Oregon's got to come up with a plan. Landon is coming back to familiar territory with the Peach Bowl in the Georgia area. So he's very familiar with that. That won't be much of a big deal. It just came out of Miami. So they're coming back to the East Coast. Not a big thing. But he's going to have to coach this time. And hopefully he gets some breaks. But if you think he's going to go for on fourth down and run the fake punts and stuff, he's already exposed all of that. So it won't be any surprise. And if he's thinking like Dan Campbell, he's going to get him beat just like the Lions. So it'll be interesting to see just how he does. Lamb, cool guy, how you doing? JC says that Ole Miss running back Lacey reminds me of Derrick Henry. Well, I don't know how big he is. Lacey's a good back, but I didn't see too many guys that can do what Henry did. He may look like him coming through the hole, but as a whole, he's Henry's a different beast, man. And I hadn't said this about very many players, but when you look at the body of work that he has, we coached against him in high school. He's bigger than everybody. He's running over everybody. He's averaging no less than 300 yards a game against everybody. He goes to college. Took him a while to get used to learning how to play football because, when you're in high school, you got a dominant player like that. You ain't worried about no intricate schemes. You're just going to turn around and hand it to him, and that's all you know. But that doesn't work on the bigger level. That's why he didn't come in right away and start starting, because he was behind um, on the intellect side of football. I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm just saying he didn't know the intricacies of putting in game plans and the checks and audibles and blocking and all that kind of crap. He had to learn how to do all that stuff. Once he got that, then they couldn't hold the guy off the field. He started running over the college guys. Then you get to the pros, you run over the damn pro guys. So with his body of work, 12,000 rushing yards in high school, I don't know what he got in college, and he's got over 100 touchdowns in the NFL. Overall, Henry just might be the best back to ever come through the system. Now, here's the deal. A lot of great backs out there that's just as good as Henry, but they didn't make it through the gauntlet. Did you make the grade? Did you get in trouble? Did you get hurt? A lot of times, these are the things that take great players out. Or maybe you couldn't get a ride home after school because you live so far out in the woods that you can't join a football team because you got no way to get home. All these kind of factors have played a part in athletes over the decades. And it makes a difference about who we see on TV. Yes, these guys are great, but just as many guys that are great on TV, there's 3 or 4 more just like them that didn't get the opportunities to make it as far as the ones we see on TV. But as far as the ones that did make it, you got to consider Henry as one of the best to ever come through. And Lacey's a good back. He's got to continue to get better. And but I understand why you're saying he looks like Henry. But I'll stop at the comparisons right there. Henry just, man, just you got he's on a different track than everybody else. And you got to give him credit for that. But as far as the NFL goes, we got the NFL playoffs kicking off tomorrow. It's one of those weekends where everybody can get beat. Also, anybody can win. Now, everybody's got Jaguar fever down here in Jacksonville. And I do Fango Media where I talk to the fans after the games. And they've been saying all along that they're going to the Super Bowl. But, you know, fans going to say that when you win a big game. And they're going to keep on saying it until they get beat. But this week, they got Buffalo coming in. And Buffalo is a dangerous opponent, even though Buffalo's been kind of up and down. But these people here, because they've been playing dominant lately, they whipped up on the lowly Titans. They whipped up on the lowly Jets. And last time they played the Texans, they had a 19-point lead before blowing that. But that's the last time they lost. Even whipped the Broncos, who have that #1 seed. So Jacksonville is a very dangerous opponent. But because of that, you cannot look past Buffalo, because Buffalo has the capacity to put together a game plan to knock Jacksonville off or anybody else off in the AFC. But that's the beauty of playing the game. It's not about optics. It's about how you play on the field. And how you play that particular day is going to determine who wins. And because of that, the AFC is wide open. But I will say this. You saw what Pittsburgh did. When they had to do something, they had to move the ball. They stepped up, they played, and they got out of that malaise of ineptitude to do enough to win the game offensively. And that's without TK Metcalf. So if you get these guys that stepped up against Baltimore to have the same effort along with a motivated Metcalf, because he almost cost the team a shot at the playoffs, and that money he was supposed to get, becomes and he plays well, then he probably is going to not get his contract voided for that 40-something million he's supposed to get as an incentive. So he's going to be motivated. So expect him to play well, and those guys step up. And Pittsburgh offense functions on the level that they function against Baltimore, and they had to do it. And Pittsburgh is a dangerous threat in the AFC. What they have to do is fix the back end of that defense. I said it yesterday. Jalen Ramsey, I don't know what that man is doing, man. He's a seasoned pro. Maybe you think he can do more than you think he can, or maybe you think he's a rookie and he's still on athletic level where he can do a lot of stuff that he did when he first came into the league. Well, these people are watching you on tape. Baltimore snuck that guy behind you because you're looking in the backfield in the first quarter. They fouled that away and sprung it on him again in the fourth quarter. So they knew they can get behind him. So the question is, how focused will he be? If Pittsburgh can fix that kind of stuff and perform offensively, in my mind, they become a threat to make it to the Super Bowl. I know Jacksonville's, they got it penciled in. Everybody's talking about Josh Allen and what Buffalo should do. I'm telling you, Monday night going to play a big part in who wins the AFC. Because if Pittsburgh's hitting on all cylinders, there's nowhere they can't go. Not that it matters anyway in the NFL, because it just don't matter. And it's a dangerous team. So it'll be interesting to see just how they do. Carolina, I forget who they're playing. They're not getting much opportunity to win their game. Um, but like I said, in the NFL playoffs, anybody has the opportunity to win this year because parity is paramount, and that makes for interesting football. And I'll be looking forward to seeing it. But tonight, rematch between Indiana and Oregon should be a good game. The question is, what kind of adjustments will Oregon make to stick with this game? And if they're able to make some good adjustments, they should be able to hang around for a while. But I'm expecting Indiana to be looking for any and everything all the way back to the beginning of the year from what Oregon did. Plus, they're going to be on the alert for fake punts and have a fourth down package because you know Lannon is going to try to come up with something to try to stick in his game. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But anyway, congratulations to Miami, and we'll see them next week in the championship, and we'll find out their opponent tonight. And I'm looking forward to a couple more days of playoff football. So until then, perhaps I'll come back on with some breaking news later. And if not, I'll catch you guys tomorrow with some previews of the NFL and talk about what happened tonight between the Ducks and the Hoosiers. So until then, you guys have a great day. This has been Sports for Real. That horn just went off, so that means I got to go to work. So have a great day. I'm out. Also, go to Fango Media and either Fango Media or the collab tab under my page, and you'll see the videos I have with the Jaguar fans on the Fango Media. But if not, just go to Fango Media and look on the latest videos, and you'll see all